and then I want to Mai Tai. I mean, to me, that just sounds like fantastic.
Well, I'll tell you, listen, if you folks show up, I will treat you right. If you show
even
up,
better, I'm on my way.
We will do Mai Tais, absolutely. But I'm really looking forward to it, and all the information is actually right on my website. They can look at my upcoming events page, and it'll have all the information about Authors After Dark. Registration online is closed, but I know they're taking cash at the door. So in case anybody wants to pop in, it's still open, so that's cool.
That's fantastic. So again, it's ParaGoddess.com. And that's exciting. I love those things. I love that.
We actually have a caller. We have area code 570 on the phone. Hello, welcome to the show. Who is this? Where are you calling from?
Good evening. My name is Virginia, and I'm calling from Pennsylvania.
Hello, Virginia. Say hi to Andrew and JoLynne.
Hello. Greetings.
And you had a question.
Hello. How are you?
Did you have a question?
Yes, actually, I texted in the room, but I thought it would be easier to just listen, so I guess I'll speak it. I believe I said, there's lots of different soul groups coming in now, and I think some that have been together for many years in karmic from Rome and Greece and those sorts of places, and how best do we assist them on their journey through the Earth plane at this moment in time. And thank you in advance, and I'm going to mute myself.
That's a great question, actually.
JoLynne, do you do a lot of stuff with past lives? I know you and I talked about this, but...
Nothing. I do nothing with it. Not yet, anyway. You never know, because things tend to change with me. I didn't even start working with the angels until last October. But currently I don't. But I think I can speak to that question, or you can. This is more your expertise, possibly.
Well, I do a lot of stuff with past lives. It's kind of a big piece of my puzzle. To me, just a quick history. When I was young, I had, like the stories of little boys who remember being pilots. I was one of those kinds of boys, right, as a 2-year-old. This was back in the 1950s, and there was no place for those kinds of little boys to really go. But in the 1970s, I was determined to try to understand why I had these flashbacks. And so for me, past lives and past life regression and understanding the potential for how past lives work really kind of underscores everything that I do. Not only as an intuitive, but really everything I do as a person trying to be, it informs the way I look at life and death. It informs the way I look at relationships. So I think that there is, to me, everyone has past lives. And I don't think past lives are necessarily just one after the other. I mean, I think they're much funkier than that. They can sort of cross-pollinate, be multiples. There's a lot of interesting things when we look at the theory of reincarnation. So as far as a specific type of group that everyone came from Atlantis or they came from ancient Greece or, from Rome or wherever, to me, I think it's an ongoing situation where it's not, from my vantage point, it's not so much a specific group congregated in a certain place and they all, en masse showed up again, but rather that certain themes continue to play out. I mean, you build a pretty strong case that one of the themes happening now is a sort of a redoing of the 1930s, right? What's happening in Europe in the 1930s, what happened in the United States in the 1930s, you can build a pretty good case that people who are reincarnated now are experiencing similar energetic patterns that they may have experienced in the 1930s, or they may have experienced in ancient Rome or in a number of places. So if I'm remembering Virginia's question, it's about how do we best facilitate their growth, right? How do we best help them to embrace and the haunted clock always shows up at fun time. How to embrace that process of growth. And so that's something that, JoLynne, that you can talk about as easily as I can talk about, is how do we really embrace moving forward? How do we become true to ourselves? How do we become true to the way in which we deal with other people? Because that's what I think the real core piece of Virginia's question is about, is how do we help people be truly themselves? And you can talk about that as easily as I can.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that was the core of our question too. You know, how do we best assist these folks coming in now on their journey and with what they're experiencing? And it's really interesting because it always comes back to looking at your life experiences, and we all have stuff. We all have stuff, whether it's from a previous life or whether it's from this lifetime. We all have stuff, and in order to move forward, not only spiritually, but in this lifetime, mentally and emotionally, in order to really move forward and be present in your life and vibrant in your life, you have to heal your stuff, and you have to deal with it, and you have to do something that I call it doing the work. You know, and my poor clients hear this all the time from me, but ultimately, you're going to have to do the work, and the work is looking at your stuff and being willing to confront yourself about your truth, who you are, your weaknesses, your strengths. You know, we all have things that we need to work on. We do. And not everybody wants to know that. Not everybody wants to work on their stuff, but we all have stuff that we need to work on in order to be the best version of ourselves, you know, in order to really grow and expand. And I believe that we're here to grow and expand into the best version of ourselves. So how we can help them is, I really believe, Andrew, by doing the work that we are doing. And it all comes back to there are different types of psychic and supernaturally gifted people, because there are different needs in the folks that we help. So I don't know. I think I sort of spoke to your question, Virginia. I hope that helped.
Yeah, when you look at past lives, you have to think about what is it that reincarnates, right? And I believe the thing that reincarnates is a certain emotional pattern, a response pattern. So you could think about reincarnation and spiritual evolution as a continuing process in which you try to change that automatic response system. So in the past, well, if you'd done this, I would have gotten angry. But now I kind of take a deep breath. I recognize what's going on. I try to embrace the situation from a multiplicity of places. I try to understand where you're coming from. I try not to react negatively. I try to take the higher road. To me, this is the process that we go through reincarnation. So what's reincarnating is its emotional blueprint patterns, right? We see them all the time. And so what JoLynne's talking about, working on your stuff, is really looking at those emotional patterns, those triggers, and trying not to be triggered in the same way. So taking that a step further for Virginia's question, one of the things we can look at is how do we help people to move past those sort of stock emotional responses that may be negative, and to help them to get in touch with who they are. I mean, when you think about why people come to psychics, most people come to psychics, and I say this, I think, every week. Most people come to psychics because they've been taught that who they are is not okay, and they need to be something different. They're reinforced for some aspect of them that has nothing to do with them. And I think that if we can, as JoLynne and I and Zita were talking about earlier, really let people recognize that we all have a function by being true to ourselves. You know, JoLynne has a function by being able to do the things that she does. Zita has a function by being able to do the things that she does, as do I, as Virginia and everyone else. And so by allowing people and saying, you know, it's okay that this is where you are, because that's fantastic that you're that way. We love you that way. Then I think that's one of the ways, too, that we can help make the types of challenges that individuals may face in a soul group or as standalone, just by helping them embrace what's unique to them and saying that it's okay that what's unique to you. We like it that way. It's good that way. We're going to be going to break here in just a couple of minutes, and then we'll be back. But you had mentioned before the first break that there were some questions in the chat room. Is there one that we can look at real quickly before we head off?
Yeah, there's one that is kind of a common question, but I think it's one that can be addressed. And let me go back up here. I think it's kind of very common within families. And knowing that we all come from intuitive families, I think this is a great question. What would be the best... Whoops. They just moved it on me. Don't type in the chat room while I answer this. Let's see. What would be the best way to help my son control his abilities as he gets older? He appears to be clairvoyant, clairaudient, and empathic.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would love to grab that question, because whoever you are, first of all, thank you for listening, and thank you for the really great and relevant question. I have 3 kids, and all of them are incredibly gifted. So I'm in the trenches with you, sweetheart. Whoever you are, we are dealing with this together. And in my experience, it really does run in bloodlines. So how you can best support him is to accept him. Really, that's the truth. And there are going to be times when he comes to you with questions, and he's going to look to you for answers. So, and that was one of the challenges I had with my mom. She really didn't want to talk about it. She had chosen to reject her gift. It scared the crap out of her. She didn't enjoy the experiences, and ultimately she shut it down. But I was fortunate enough to have my grandmother to go to and 2 aunts to go to. And I will never forget sitting on my grandmother's lap in her rocking chair as she literally explained to me the difference between when you're having just a normal dream versus a prophetic dream. How do you tell the difference? When you are receiving a message from a spirit versus a message from your own intuition. And so having you to go to, your son will really have a go-to source and learn to accept himself and see that it's okay. And this may not be the world's definition of normal, but by the way, this is my definition of normal, because every single one of us is hardwired for supernatural ability. Some of us are more gifted than others, but everybody has some potential. So it's going to be very relevant and very life-affirming for your son to receive that acceptance first from his mother. But if you can educate, and you sound educated because you know all the terms, but being able to give him answers, and to help him understand what it is he's experiencing, and to help him understand what his potential and abilities are, is going to be an incredible gift for that young boy. And I have every confidence that he will grow up to be accepting of himself and feeling positive about his ability and potentially ready to share it with the world, because I believe that when you're very gifted, that the reason is because you're meant to share it with the world. So thank you for that question. And I'd love to hear from you and how your son is doing.
Fabulous. And with that, we're going to go ahead and take our top of the hour break. Again, you're listening to Rock and Roll Psychic Radio. Our guest is seated in the ParaGoddess JoLynneValerie, and we will see you all in just a few minutes.
Stay tuned for more from Andrew Brewer and his guest right after these messages. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Your health is not just about your physical condition. Science is learning that your mind has a great influence on your overall health. A healthy body needs a healthy spirit and a healthy attitude to run its best. Join Helene Burke for Healthy People to discover ways to help you build the healthy life you want. Monday evenings at 6 p.m. Eastern Time on the KZ Radio Network.